trust is going well. And I trust you're glad being on this dial all the time. This is 99.7 Joy FM. And welcome to the longest running sports show on this network. You know, right now we're pushing a quarter of a decade and more. And this is the longest running sports platform on this dial. My name is Nathaniel Atto. I'm always grateful to be the one in the center of all of the big analysis and the closeness to the big personalities behind the big stories right here. Of course, it's been an interesting week. We're building up to the Ghana FA's elections. And the personality here today happens to be a key person who's also seeking a place on the Executive Council of the Ghana FA. While we do all of that, remember that yesterday all regions wrapped up their elections and now have their way clear regarding who will lead them for the next 4 years. The question, however, is how does that result, or how do those set of results affect the main election on Friday, October 25, at the College of Physicians and Surgeons? Well, we'll be doing some analysis on all of that. But remember, the next weekend as well, the Mexican Grand Prix is coming up. Who looks good? Who doesn't? We'll do all of that right here on the Joysports link. And of course, we'll also be looking ahead to that very big one. The tabletoppers Liverpool coming up against their sworn age-long rivals Manchester United. Oh my goodness, what a game even before the game. So remember, you can keep your messages coming in. You can bring in your questions and all. And our WhatsApp platform, as always, is 0244340437. 0244340437. So today it's time with Executive Council aspirant Randy Abbey. So we will have that conversation with Randy Abbey right here on the Joy Sports link immediately after our conversation on Formula One. So stay with us here between now and the top of the hour, 2 p.m. as we discuss critical issues affecting our football. Remember, they say it's the passion of the nation.
Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.
Don't you love that beat? Well, it just tells you about the energy that Formula One always brings to the table. Okay, so here with me in studio, Not everybody hasn't been here in like 2 months or what? Dr. Satiapi, as usual, in his BMW gear. Remember, he's away from his profession and away from his love for Formula One. He's also president of the BMW Club, who always do a lot in terms of road safety and social work as well. It's not only about the love of the machines and the big toys. All right, so remember, we like to have the discussions ahead of time. We saw what happened in Suzuka, and we're looking forward to the Mexican Grand Prix. South America it is. All right, so Nasebwedi, remember, he's also a sworn Liverpool fan, and another Liverpool fan in Randy Abe is joining me here. It surely is going to be a Liverpool bias conversation. I need to get on the phone line quickly, get as many Manchester United fans as possible, because it sure is going to be very hot tomorrow. And remember, there's live commentary here in partnership with the BBC. Remember, we bring you the games right there from the venue. We're the only ones who do that right there from the venue. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I can see that you haven't recovered from, the thrills and, the bliss of Labadi Beach Hotel and all the big stories from Japan.
Last week
we have it. Last week was something.
Okay, the stories to be told and those that can never be told.
Some can never be told.
Thank you.
All right. So, last week, of course, nature took its course and it had its effect. And the discussion going into next weekend is suggesting that the points may be in favor of Lewis Hamilton as we go into the race. How true is that?
Well, it's not entirely true. Lewis Hamilton, over the last two races, 2017 and 2018, didn't do that well. I think it was won by Verstappen. The Red Bulls are very, very strong in Mexico because of the altitude. Apparently, they are the only people whose engines are able to tolerate the low pressure, atmospheric pressure in Mexico. So they have been doing very well. But this year, they have a Honda engine. So we don't know the differences between the Honda and the Renault engine that they used to have. So it's also a new thing, and it throws a new spanner into the works.
Wow, interesting stuff there. Now, this thing about Red Bull drivers and the way the cars are built to just do the course in Southern America, it's very interesting. And, Ferrari also is looking forward to winning more as we build up to the end of the year. And, so there are complaints sometimes about Ferrari and the build of their engine and how sometimes it leans towards, or sometimes how they lean towards more or less breaking the Formula One rules even.
Yes.
Okay, so what then will be the dynamics? Here we are having very strong Ferrari engines, and then we have the Red Bulls looking forward to having that all-time advantage. How then does it play out?
I think, as usual, the Ferraris will be competitive. Even the Mercedes will be competitive. But whether or not they really execute a good, race is a challenge, because we know the Ferraris have already got an issue with whether or not they should put the senior, mechanics in the team behind the clerk or support Vettel. There's an issue they have to deal with. In their paddock. So that's a challenge they have. We know also that Hamilton, if he wins next week, he becomes the drivers' champion. Or
that is if he wins and Bottas, he wins by 14 points.
If he wins by 14 points.
So to determine the position of Bottas,
the position of Bottas. So do they go ahead and nail it next week, or they give him time? And when he's relaxed, he does better sometimes. So all these will come into play.
Wow, interesting stuff there.
And if I may add, there's always an accident in the first corner in Mexico. So that also provides another dynamic into the equation.
Well, let's just pray that we don't have any safety car coming in, this time. Okay, so but how do we explain these anyway? These accidents that happen, and it's consistent with the race. How is it?
The problem is the drivers are very competitive animals. If you give them toy cars to they will still compete and try to. That's why there are rules. You remember one time I told you here that it is very important to have all those rules, because once the adrenaline is flowing, you don't have time to think. It's reactions and emotions and reflex reactions.
And they're always looking to break the rules without being caught. So any opportunity to do it. I mean, even the engineers and everybody that's, I mean, whether it's a tie rule they break or whatever, they're always looking for it. So that's what happens.
Yeah, they're too competitive. That's what it is. And these guys have been competing from childhood, you know, like 7 years old.
Yeah.
That instinct. That it's like giving a gun to a soldier and he sees we shoot.
Interesting, huh? Now, there's also been talk about looking at the future of Formula One, where, for instance, we'll be having drivers go on the tracks on their own without communication with their respective teams. I mean, I spoke about this because of the point you made, you know, about the drivers being very, very competitive, especially when it comes to the start of a race like the Mexican Grand Prix. Do we see a future like that? And how practical is it having these drivers? I mean, because this is, of course, the proposed new look of the Formula One.
If Ferrari doesn't veto it, you know, Ferraris are the people who like controlling their drivers and team orders and stuff. Now, if you give the drivers, for example, last weekend, Hamilton wanted hard tires to finish the race, and they that he didn't want because they wanted to keep him in that third position for political reasons. You understand? So there is politics behind the decisions of the sport, and Ferrari is the only team that has a veto on any rule or regulation that they come up with. So let's see what Ferrari says. Then we can decide.
All right, coordinator of F1 Ghana, Kwabena Poku. Kwabena Poku, remember, has a 20,000 watt sound system in his car. So Kwabena Poku was listening to some hip hop this morning and he lost out on the time. But Kwabena, good to always have you here. Now, we're just talking about the proposed future of Formula One, where you're going to have drivers being totally independent, where they get on the tracks and that's it. They are not getting any, you know, guidance from their respective teams, communicating with them and, you know, doing that correspondence to make sure that they get the best out of the race. How practical is this? Let me ask you this as well.
It's like bringing back the old race that we knew, you know, because if you watch what's been going on over the past decade or 2 decades or so, the drivers get a lot of assistance from the team, you know, and they tend to, you know, rely on those kind of assistants, you know, to win races and things like. I mean, they can literally tell you how fast somebody is behind you or how quick somebody is in front of you. I mean, Hungary was a typical example when Max felt the heat of Lewis coming from behind him, and he asked for more power, and they told him in his face that, you know what, we've given you every power you need. You have all the power, and he still realized that Lewis was right behind him and all that. So I feel from 2021 going, the race will be much more competitive. The drivers will have to take decisions on their own. They will give you a percentage of how much laps you need to switch tires and things like that. And for me, it will make the race much more competitive and fun.
So for you, you're all for it?
I'm all for it. For the new changes, I'm all for it. The ones that's going to make the drivers more independent, I'm all for it. It will make the drivers much more competitive.
Okay, but Nase, I mean, what about the negative side of it? I mean, the disadvantages of having the drivers go on their own, you know.
I think the negative side is where they don't get any support from the
pits,
the pit. And so, for example, they can't tell how fast the person behind them is driving, how much they need to step on it. Okay. Also, for example, how badly their tires are, whether they can keep their tires till the end of the race. All these are things that, like last week, what happened? I mean, Hamilton was in a 1-stop. Then they changed to 2 because they knew that to keep him to the end of the race and maintain a third position, that's what they needed to do. I think about 2 races ago, somebody else, was in the lead, but they knew he couldn't take the car till the end of the race. I think it was Verstappen or somebody else. And Hamilton came to overtake. So these things are, if the driver is left on his own, I might need some more support in the cockpit.
If you realize that the top drivers haven't really complained about the new rules, because if you take somebody like Hamilton is one of the best time managers. Because he knows and understands his ties when he's on the track. Even way before his team is communicating with him, he can feel it, he can tell it, you know. So most of these big drivers are not complaining. What drivers are now complaining is that Ferrari seem to be getting some sort of unfair advantage, even in terms of upgrades. I mean, the recent story that came out where the other teams are complaining that they've gotten some sort of upgrades, which is it in conformity with the rules or not?
Same with Renault. Renault is having a system where the car brakes automatically on the driver before it gets into the corner.
Yes.
But the issue is Formula One needs Ferrari to be more competitive to make it more
that's
fun.
the thing. They need Ferrari to be competitive. True.
Because we are not competitive this year. We've just been managing to get a few seconds and thirds here and there. So they need Ferrari to be more competitive. So at least they will get all the sponsorship, all the viewership that they need, and all of that. So they could be breaking rules just to get Ferrari.
Okay, gentlemen. So we will be doing some more in terms of looking ahead to Mexico next weekend. So it's going to be at Smoke and Barrel, next weekend. So give us the details before we wrap up.
Next week is our first Heineken night with Heineken at Diageo Ghana. So Heineken is taking over the Mexico Grand Prix. We're going to Smoke and Barrel. We'll be there on the 26th to watch the free practice 3 and the qualifiers in the evening at Smoke and Barrel. So all the Formula 1 fans are heading towards Smoke and Barrel on the 26th to watch the FP3 and then the qualifiers. And then on Sunday, lights out is at 7:10, but we are all getting there from 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Drinks by, as usual, Heineken, our sponsors. It's going to be the Heineken night. So everything over there is going to be Heineken. DSTV Super Sport is going to be there. Stop it.
There's a part of the discussion that lightens Doc up, His skin even becomes lighter.
Our media sponsors, Joy FM and the Multimedia Group are going to be there. Samsung Ghana, Zuba Shop, Starbites Ghana.
There'll be nibbles.
There'll be nibbles. Smoke and Barrel. I've been there. I've tasted their food before. It is excellent. And Smoke and Barrel is littered with screens everywhere. So nobody's going to miss anything at the Smoke and Barrel inside La Boa.
You should actually do like a 360-10 while the race is up.
And it's all Formula One.
All right. Thank you very much. And of course, you need to follow us on our social media handles and also on the Joy News channel as we bring and channel 421 on DSTV as we bring you all of the highlights of the race. What we do is we bring you a look ahead, we bring you the race proper and the reactions, and then reactions post-race. All of these are here with us. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Would keep Nase with a little bit as we zoom into the discussion. This is going to be a little weird because I haven't properly introduced Randy. I'm very traditional in my ways, and So as I have always done for all of the aspirants who have been here on the show in the last few weeks, I'd like to take you a little closer to the man you've known, all these years. Of course, he's a media, consultant who's practiced for the better part of 21 years. Of course, 21 plus 2 years. And of course, he's the host of the award-winning Good Morning Ghana on Metro TV. This is done for the last 15 years. Okay, and I'm getting my math wrong this morning. 16, 15 plus 1. So, of course, he has a lot of interest in football and media consultancy, has a lot of interest there. And, of course, he's currently pursuing his doctorate in business administration at the Swiss Business School. He holds a Masters of Business Administration in General Management from the Australian Institute of Business Australia, a postgraduate diploma in Management from the Australian Institute of Business, and a postgraduate certificate in Management, and a certificate in Human Resource Management from GIMPA, the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. He's also acquired an advanced certificate in Public Relations, Advertising and Marketing from the Ghana Institute of Journalism, a proud product of Accra Academy, and a recipient of the highest honor of the land. So Randy Abe is a member of the Order of the Volta and also a recipient of the Grand Medal as well. Good combination, isn't it? Randy Abe is a father and a husband, and he is aspiring to get on the new look executive council of the Ghana FA, which of course would be going to an elective congress on October 25. Added to all of these, which will probably be the most important, is the fact that he is a staunch fan of Liverpool. Stood right there in the arena when Liverpool won that 6th historic UEFA Champions League title. Randy, thank you very much for your time, and good to have you here. Always good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
And look,
I see you've done some digging on me. All the things that are hidden in the closet are out.
You do this to people all the time, so as my big brother, that's the least I can do. Okay, so gentlemen, before we let Nana Boedi go, let's just do a bit of the Liverpool discussion now. I mean, off air, we're just having the discussion about how, the results of all of the hard work in the background is showing. Now, Liverpool has assumed a position of character because there's great consistency and, you see Liverpool go down. I mean, this season, you see Liverpool start of the game, they go down and they fight back and win the game. And this is, I mean, these are traits of a side that are looking forward to doing big things. Now, they come up against Manchester United, who in the last few seasons have also been very troublesome when it comes to clubs that are doing well and are recording consistent wins on the trot. What are you looking forward to tomorrow? And let's make this as, as non-biased as possible.
Yeah, to be honest, the only thing Man U have got tomorrow is the stadium and the crowd they will have in the stadium. The team itself, I mean, haven't even lost the gear and Pogba for the game. The team is just the small boys going to play tomorrow. If they've got anything to go,
but these youthful players can be troublesome on a good day.
Yes, but the difference this time is that if you look at Liverpool, we've solved the issues that we've had over the years. Even when Klopp came, we didn't have a good goalkeeper. We brought in Alisson. This season, Alisson has been away for a bit, but he's back now. I'm sure he'll probably play tomorrow. All right. In defense, once we brought in Van Dijk, it's obvious. And then also he stopped chopping and changing the team. So we're always guaranteed goals.
And that influenced and the Van Dijk's performance has influenced Manchester United to do same and investing in defense.
Which has actually backfired.
You never know. You never know. Maybe tomorrow may be the turning point. You never know.
So tomorrow, I mean, we're not going there saying that we're going to win by 3-4. Like, it could happen, but the way we've been playing this season, we'll be cautious, knowing that we can get our goals anytime we want. And that's what's going to make it difficult for them because they can't keep cheering their team, and then when the results are not coming, frustrated, and we'll hit them. Okay,
and of course, trust Randy to put it in our faces. I mean, since the last, since the Champions League win, I mean, anytime Randy is off work or trying to get it easy, he's always in a Liverpool jersey. I just don't understand this. Charlie, we know. Relax. Good afternoon to you, Daniel Amwati. Another big offender, I mean, sometimes you feel like, they only have Liverpool gear in their wardrobes, eh?
Randy has joined us. Matthew has joined us from Arsenal. Anyway, Liverpool is the overwhelming favorite in this game. But the flip side is that Man U is looking for a bounce.
Exactly.
As far as the season is concerned. And from their point of view, what a better bounce than one against Liverpool. The rivalry and everything. I mean, the perfect time to have that much needed bounce will be tomorrow's game against Liverpool. Now, Liverpool, I mean, look at the mood of the team. This is obviously a team that is determined to win, even if the play is not as beautiful as it is. I've watched games this season. I mean, I even start from the Champions League final, where the team is not playing that well, but is winning. The games that we could have won, we could have lost 2 seasons ago, like the Sheffield game. It could have easily become a draw, and we're grinding results out of these games. If you look at the game against, was it Chelsea? That game could have easily been a draw, some 2 seasons ago. Yeah. So the winning mentality, the attitude, the desire, to win is there. games that should be draws are being won. Games that should be lost are being won. And so the team is in such a shape that I find it difficult to see how Man U will get the bounce. They probably will have to wait 1 week more, to get that bounce that they really, really need and are looking forward to.
There we get the set.
It will be a big one for them. It will be a big one for them if they got it tomorrow. It will change their season.
Yeah.
It will bring the spark back. It will get their fans excited. And so I'm sure they'll be looking forward to, what a better time to have a bounce than to have it against Liverpool at Old Trafford. And so, for me, that should be some motivation for Man U. But whether they will get it is where I really don't see it coming from, because the psyche of this Liverpool team, the mentality of the team is that of a winning one. And I don't see how Man U will not fall tomorrow.
Okay, so after all the sportsmanly talk, then they poke. Anyway, Nana said, thank you so much. We'll be watching the game. We'll see how it all goes down. All right, thank you very much for staying here with us on the Joysports link. Randy Abe is my guest here. He is one of many executive council aspirants who, based on their track record, are looking forward to rising to that space where they can affect positively the fortunes of Ghana football going forward. We've had many angles to the big story leading to the election, which will be held next week, Friday, October 25. And that also includes the successful elections, for the regional FAs. How will this affect all of this? Well, we'll get into that later on in the show. But right now, the focus is on Randy Abe. Randy, thank you very much for making the time.
Thanks for having me.
Good to be, be in your company. It's been a while. We haven't spoken on this platform in a while. Yeah. Let's begin from the RFA elections, which was held, just about 24 hours ago. You've seen the list of winners. You know most of them. You've seen some of the surprises as well. Greater Accra was a big one in terms of surprises. What does it tell you about what we are likely to see on Friday? And also this is based on the conversations that you have had with other delegates.
Well, the RFA elections, as far as the presidency is concerned, is very, very crucial, because the RFAs come with 20 votes. So if we're dealing with about 116 delegates, 20 of them are going to be coming from RFAs, because you have two delegates per region. And so I know that almost all the participants were deeply interested and involved in the RFA elections. And you would also find out that I think it was just about 4 of the old RFA chairmen that contested. I think Upper East, Upper West, Ashanti region. I guess that's just about it. So you had 3 of the old people contesting. Northern region, we know by virtue of number 12, he resigned.
Abu, very well.
Eastern region passed on.
God bless his soul.
Yes, Alaji
Lawal.
He passed on. Kojo Yanka for Western region didn't seek re-election.
Greater Accra
didn't seek re-election.
Greater Accra
after number 12 had virtually vacated his position. Central region also passed on Mr. Doe.
Yes.
And so
God
I think
bless his
Mr.
soul.
Duncan had been acting. So Doe also passed on. And so you had about 3, Upper East, Upper West, Ashanti. BA also did not seek re-election. So you had 3 of the old people contesting. And then you had 7 new people. In Volta region, I think he went unopposed. Central region went unopposed. And so we had competitive elections in the others. I wasn't surprised about Greater Accra. Qatar has been around for a very long time. He's a grassroots person, he's a grounds person, he's somebody who relates with the club owners and the people around club football. a lot. He's not somebody who you find in the media space. He's not somebody who go out there and be engaged in interviews and others. I mean, Jacque was a very formidable candidate. He does a lot of media stuff. He had organized, especially when that vacuum was created in the absence of their chairman, he had actually filled a certain void and was organizing competitions and others. And he had media visibility. And so a lot of people thought that he was going to nick it. But checking on the ground, I knew that Qatar was very formidable, and Qatar was going to get it.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to you, Randy. Let's get on the phone line and speak to Joysports' Benedict Owusu. Benedict was there, on the grounds at the Fiducia National Hockey Pitch, where the National Hockey Stadium, where the Greater Accra version of the regional elections were held. He brings some thoughts on here as well. Benedict, thank you very much for your time.
No, thanks for having me.
Now, the big surprises. You had many conversations with many of the delegates who were there to support others and all of that. Now, what are they saying after, especially that big surprise that came after, Eugene Jacque, who was a favorite, losing out to Qatar eventually.
Well, now before I go on, very good afternoon to Randy, who is in the studio. Randy is one great guy that we all admire. And, almost every time, the last time I had the opportunity to interview him, I asked him why he didn't go for the presidency. And he said, there are so many things on his hand. That's why. But, of course, if he's part of the executive council, which I am hoping and praying that he will win, he will also bring to bear what he has in terms of his experience in football over the years. Because he's one great guy that we can always count on when it comes to our football. And how I wish that he had gone for the presidency, and if some of us we had a vote, and we had the party vote, we would have definitely chosen him as the FA president. So Randy, you are doing a great job, and we are all proud of you.
Thank you very much.
So, now to your question, this is election. That's what I keep saying every time. Elections, when it comes around, there are so many dynamics. On day one, you might think that you've done your work, your homework very well. You've spoken to delegates, and they've assured you that they are going to vote for you. On day two, which is the election day, you go in and the results will come and it'll be different. What happened? There was this man, Reverend.
Okay, Benedict, please speak up a little bit and position yourself well.
Okay.
Yeah, very well.
Is it okay now?
Very well. Go ahead.
So I was talking about the delegates as well as those that were contesting for the IFA elections, specifically the Greater Accra. Now, Eugene Jacque was there with Aboudri, that's Qatar, as well as Reverend Ankuma. And when he was coming in, actually came with delegates who were singing his name, delegates who were so, sure in terms of the promises that they made to him that they were going to vote for him. And after the vote, or after the counting, he had just two. You can imagine. So the point I'm making here is these elections, a lot of dynamics are in, especially with what you tell the people. It's just a small community. That's a football community. But everything that you do, you really have to be very cautious and watch. I, for once, thought that Eugene Jacque was in a comfortable lead because of, he contesting Editoku last 4 years and doing very well in that elections. We all knew that it was going to be very difficult to unseat Mr. Editoku, but Eugene did very well in that election. So, based on that, some of us thought, okay, if Eugene is coming with these new guys, Qatar and Reverend, then it will be a landslide victory for Eugene Jacque based on everything that he's been doing here in Accra. But it happened that Qatar won and won very well against someone like Jacque. Some of the delegates were not surprised because they went in there to vote, and that is what they chose. They decided to give the nod to Abu Dhabi, that's Qatar. So the discussions that I had with them after the voting was that that's their choice, and this is the man they want him to leave the Regional Football Association, specifically Greater Accra. Eugene was very disappointed. Of course, he expected him to be. For him, he thought that he has done everything right. He's someone who has availed himself. When you remember there was a debate at the Accra Stadium, he was there. Even the person that won Qatar was not available. He shared his ideas, shared his policies and everything that he would do if elected as the IFA president. But yes, though, the people that did not listen, and they thought otherwise that, okay, this person is who we see can do a good job for us. And so he expressed disappointment and was very disappointed. Well, Qatar, on the other side, was very elated and was happy that they've given him the opportunity to serve on the Greater Accra Regional IFA, and he promised that everything that he has in him over the years learning football administration in this country, he will bring it to bear at that level to also ensure that what we are all seeking for, what we are all hoping that we are breaking away from that 13-year regime, things will start changing, and he wants to begin that from the IFA level, and then possibly if he gets the opportunity to be on any committee at the headquarters, that's the Football Association headquarters, he also will bring whatever experience that he has in order to reform our football.
Benedict, thank you very much.
Thank you, Timothy.
Benedict Owusu there. He was at the Greater Accra end covering for Joysports. And of course, I'll just quickly run through the list of winners of yesterday's election. And then we return to the conversation with Randy Abbey, who is one of many aspirants for the Executive Council of the GFA. So for the Upper East region, Mr. Salifu Shaibu Zida won it. In Central region, it was Mr. Robert Otieku Duncan. Greater Accra region, Samuel Abuabire, who's known as Kata. In Ashanti region was Mr. Said Tutu Ajiman. Eastern region, Mr. Linford Bwedu Asamoah. Western region, Mr. Simon Ehuma. Upper West region, Alhaji Biyad Sadugu Yahya. And of course, Bronga Hafo, Ralph Jambra. And Volta region, Mr. Daniel Agboga. All right, Randy. You've had. I mean, Benedict was giving his own endorsement, if I may put it that way. Unfortunately, Benedict doesn't have a vote. But I'm sure that along the journey and especially during this period of thick politicking, you've had many people outside of that 120 bracket, or people tell you, I mean, look, this is a good time for you to step up or put yourself up for service. And as much as you explain, people still do not accept. They want you to.
You mean for the presidency?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it came out strong. In your intro, you mentioned something. The first thing when you were talking about my academic stuff, you mentioned something, and because it's a bit personal and it's private, it's something that I had not put out in the public domain, and that was one of the factors that I looked at, that I'm pursuing my doctoral studies, and I was trying to finish off this year. Obviously, it's so hectic, and there was no way I could combine that with strenuous campaigning and crisscrossing the entire country and all that. It was just in August that I had my thesis approved. And so, God willing, I would have my public defense first week in November. And then I'll graduate in December by the grace of God. I obviously could not combine the doctoral studies with this campaigning. And then secondly, I also thought that the list for those who were competing would not inure to the benefit of our game. And it's on record that I've had talks with all the other contestants, with the exception of Amanda and Lawyer Nkoma. I mean, with all the other five, on the need to have a consensus candidate so that at least we can have the four others on the executive council. And I've made this point very clear, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to even go for the executive council. That is, in as much as the presidency is important, or who becomes president is important, I believe that the executive council is more important. The caliber of people who we put on the executive council is extremely important. That 11-member council is extremely important. So I thought that, I mean, having the benefit of at least 4 of these 5 on the executive council would have done our football much better. Because with the current scenario, what it means is that at least 4 of these 5, and when I talk about the 5, I'm speaking exclusive of Amanda and then Lawyer Nkoma. What it means is that this 4 will be outside the mainstream running of the game. And I thought that their collective experiences and expertise could have helped the game better. It is not to suggest that those who come on the council will not be able to do a good job, but I would have thought that would have benefited a lot more. And so I have not less than 5 meetings. Some of the meetings were at my residence and all that, trying to get everybody together, and it didn't work. I mean, eventually it turned out that each of them believed that, I mean, they were strong enough, they were wanted by the people, they were preferred by the people, so they decided to run. So you can do your bit up to a point. Beyond that, you would have to let things pan out for us to see how it goes. And so it was even one of the reasons why I decided that, look, I am an investor. I run a club. I'm the president of a club. I still invest in the game. I did not go for the presidency because of the reasons I've given. One, that I thought that the park was too big. Two, because of my doctoral studies, you know. And so let me go on to the council. I mean, and once my thesis was approved, I mean, I had enough time, because all I have to do now is to prepare for my public defense. So I had enough time to go around and speak with our delegates and all that, and try and get onto the council to also offer that critical support that we require, you know, as far as the development of Ghana football is concerned. Because I think that we are at the crossroads. We are at a critical moment. We all know what has happened to our game, and this transition is extremely important. We have another opportunity to get things right, and we cannot afford to lose out this time. This time we need to get serious and get things done very, very well.
Remember, it's 0244340437 if you have any messages to share with us. 0244340437. Remember, we're also streaming live on Facebook. Greetings to all of our friends who are joining us from across the globe. Many of the presidential aspirants have put out their respective policy documents tackling various aspects of our football. For you, over all of these years following the game, which aspect of it do you think is at red alert status, which needs to be given attention immediately if we want to tow that new path? Especially as you also admit that we're at a crossroad. Which of the aspects of our game do you feel needs the most immediate attention, so it can help in the process of getting us back?
I think that the Ghana football, the running of Ghana football, has a battered image. The GFA has a battered image. The brand is bruised. You know, the brand has been damaged. But it is repairable. You know, it can be transformed. It can be redeemed. The first thing we need to do is to deal with the battered brand. How do we do that? It is to deal with the issues that have resulted in the brand being bruised or battered this way. And these are issues of transparency, you know, especially with respect to our finances, with how we do things. And this has come up as a result of the fact that over the years, we've seen ourselves as accountable to only the delegates, the 100 and something people, you know. And I was explaining to somebody the other time that you feel you're accountable to just that group, yet when you're looking for resources, you go outside that group to look for those resources. How do you behave as if you are not accountable to the same people that you go to for resources? So if they have a certain impression about you, if they have a certain opinion about you, it is that opinion that will influence their decisions in dealing with you. So if you think that those within feel that you are accountable to them and you are accounting to them and that you are transparent and that you do not care about those outside, and yet it is they that you go to, corporate Ghana, to want to do business with them. You go to government to want to do business with government in terms of investment and all that. But you then decide that under the guise of FIFA this, CAF that, your accountability is only to those within. you will be unable to develop because you cannot develop with the resources of those within. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to demonstrate that level of accountability. Yes, it is the 116 or so people who will vote to determine who becomes president. And it's even a smaller number that will determine who goes on the council. But your dealings are with a community or a constituency bigger than that 160 or 120. And that must inform how you conduct yourself. For example, if it comes to issues of audited accounts and publication of accounts, what stops the GFA from getting in any of the top auditing firms to audit the accounts and publishing same? When it comes to issues of the contracts that we enter into and all that, what is the big deal about putting out key components of those contracts? Nobody's saying that come and publish
Everything.
But the key things: what's the duration of a contract? What is the value of the contract? What are the key benefits? What are the key responsibilities? This is information that is given everywhere else. We are not an island. It happens everywhere else. You won't publish the document, but at least provide information. But when you don't do that, and the posturing is that we are only accountable to this group of people, you do not matter. I do not matter, but when you need money or you need resources, you come to have those discussions with me. You get the point I'm making. So we need to operate in a way that demonstrates that our accountability goes beyond just the 116 or so people in that small community. Because what we do affects millions. You get what I'm saying? And therefore, we need to be seen to be accountable to that larger group. And that's one of the key things that we need to do. You know, when it also comes to the game itself, a lot of people do not have beliefs in the fairness and justness of the outcomes of the game. People think that, look, when it comes to the judicial processes or decision making, it's so crooked. It is some cult or some group. Even for us in football, there is this term that is used. Mr. Lobo Commodore loves to use it very well. Something about the position of the establishment. So we sit in this country and we know that decisions like who will be relegated, who will be promoted, are taken at a certain level, and then efforts are made to achieve same. I mean, when you do that, even within the 116 group, there is no confidence in the product that you're dealing with, much more the external ones. I mean, how the judicial bodies conduct themselves, the lack of independence, you know, the fact that people believe that even appointments onto those committees are based on chronism, and that people are even dictated to on certain outcomes and all that. You know, so even within and without, there is no belief in the justness or fairness of the system. I mean, outcomes of games, issues of officiating. Can we look at another way, or can we look at ways where we can reduce the issues of problems with officiating and all that? This morning I was having a discussion with one of the delegates, and he told me that, as for him, there's only one thing he wants the next FA to do, is to look at the issues of officiating, because clubs are suffering. So I shared something with him that and this is something I've said on air, that look, I looked at even how technology can help us deal with that. I had a discussion with Referee Kote, retired, and he told me that FIFA does not allow for that, because I was looking at how we can use technology and limit the human interaction with respect to appointment of referees and all those things. So he told me that FIFA frowns on the use of technology. I'm yet to double check, but that's a feedback that he gave me. Because trying to look at ways where we can limit, because I've been chairman of referees committee before, you know, and the kind of things that I found out whilst I was there was serious.
For instance, you would find out that club officials try to influence people on the committee for the appointment of particular referees. Sometimes not just for their games, but for games of even their competitors. Which obviously have an effect on their standing on the league table.
Definitely. You know, and we need to be truthful to ourselves if we really are interested in taking advantage of this opportunity to get things done right. Because like I said, what has happened has happened. but we are now provided with the opportunity of doing things in a much, much, much better way. And we cannot afford to let this opportunity slip because we might not have another opportunity again.
Randy, we've had this conversation several times, and it will come up for a long time. We talk about the new look FA, but in practical terms, there really will be nothing like a new look FA, because the people who run football and invest directly in football are there. They are the same people. Now, in the same way, the people who have administered football in the past are there. They still are looking for opportunities to give back to the game. You are one of them. What have you told people who have asked the questions about how you've been part of a process from, yes, you were part of the first part of the 12-year period, which obviously was amongst the highest days or the finest days or the biggest days. But what then would you say? Because it's all contributed. I mean, all of these things then contributed to what, it's part of the history. Okay, so what then do you say to these people regarding how refreshed all of you are going forward into the future?
Well, I think that in the first, when we talk about doing things new, it's not just about the people. It's about the legal framework. It's about the structures. It's about appointments. It's about capacity of people. It's about the things that we created to ensure that things were done in a particular way. So, for example, let's get practical here. For example, did you have like an audit and compliance unit, for example, or a committee which is independent? You didn't have that. Did you have an ethics committee which is independent of the management of the game? We didn't have that. So if you look at, say, FIFA, when their problems happened, they realized, they looked within. What are the things that we have done over the years which has brought us to this level? The introspection part. And therefore, what are the things that we need to do? So they then created structures which will then insulate some of those bodies. So the ethics committee, even the FIFA president is very wary of the ethics committee, because the ethics committee is independent of him. They can take decisions against him. They can act against him if he goes wrong. The judicial bodies are not just referred to as being independent, but in terms of the mode of appointment, they indeed are independent. So when you create these things and therefore the level of influence is limited, if not erased completely, those are things that engender confidence. Those are things that demonstrates that you're prepared to do things differently and act differently and subject yourself to the required scrutiny and not use positions to influence decision making and to make sure that you are even not subjected to scrutiny. That is the kind of situation that we had. So the independence of some of these bodies in terms of their establishment, in terms of the mode of appointment onto these institutions is critical. So at the end of the day, even if it is me or anybody else who is there, to the extent that you have created these systems and the systems are independent and people have been appointed independently and they are persons of repute, you know that you're putting in place the necessary checks and balances to ensure that you yourself being in position conforms to what is required of you and not do things as you please, because you know that you can also manipulate the system. So that's about the doing things differently kind of thing. I'm saying that we have been part of the process. We have gone through the process. We know what is wrong with it. It took us a long time to want to change it. Number 12 happened. It has forced a sort of a revolution for people to decide to do what is right. Like I said, it is a big opportunity. We cannot go back to the old ways of doing things. We need to do things in a much, much, much different and better way. This is not new. Ghana is not the only country that has gone through such a scenario. Other countries have been through. FIFA itself has been through it. It is tried to reform. It is not an event. It's a process. but you need to take and make those major steps that will demonstrate to the entire world that indeed these are a group of people who intend to do things differently. I mean, coming all the way to the point of even look at the issue of the vice presidency of the FA and how it was even handled. You get me? So we got to a point where now, let's amend laws or create laws for the comfort of personalities and all that. That's how low we sank to. So instead of looking at the establishment, the association, and how the association can be stronger and do things better for the benefit of everybody, we were now fixated on how we can make things comfortable for a personality or a group of people. And that's what brought us to where we got to. And we cannot afford to go into that kind of system any longer. Whoever is elected into office must be responsible to the people that elected him or her and the larger public.
You're still here on Joy 99.7 FM, going towards a 1:15 p.m. We're going up till 2 p.m. and we're sharing time with Randy Abbey, who is an aspirant for the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association. Remember, the elections come off on October 25 here in Accra at the College of Physicians and Surgeons, and the Elective Congress is supposed to get for us who will be at the helm in terms of leading the Ghana FA in addition to others. Randy, there's been talk about, one key component or one key aspect of our game, which is its funding. There are those who have suggested that the FA wean itself fully and totally from the support that comes from government, so that the FA puts up a strategic plan, goes to a strategic partner, stroke sponsor, and the person buys into this and becomes the arm of the FA when it comes to financial muscle, so the FA can take decisions. I mean, and you see all of these looking at this current situation where, for instance, the Black Stars are unable to play friendlies on 2 key days on the calendar. What's your take on the financing of the FA and that bit where government also comes in to support?
Ultimately, the FA must get there, like other FAs have. The truth of the matter is that the FA needs to position itself into making those huge sums of money. As we speak today, we know that, or we all agree, that the brand is a battered one. But this is a brand that has a huge potential. This is a brand that can be redeemed. This is a brand that can be brought back and have its glory days back. You need to first of all deal with issues of the battered brand first. Bring back the confidence. Bring back the glory. Because it is that brand that you're going to sell. You get the point I'm making? And so the first thing would be how we can clean up our image, how we can put our house in order, how we can get corporate Ghana and the rest of the larger global public to have confidence in us, to have belief in us, to want to associate with the brand. That is when the issues of funding can be dealt with. That is where you would have corporate Ghana or corporate global wanting to associate with our brand, which will then bring in the needed money, which will also then lessen the burden on both government and the clubs in Ghana as a whole. So it is a process, but we must take the critical steps which will engender that confidence in everybody else, in all stakeholders, that indeed this is a group of people that are prepared to do the key and difficult things to restore that battered image, to enable everybody now have confidence to want to do business with Ghana football.
Let's do a few messages here. And remember, it's 0244-340-437. 0244-340-437. Inko Joseph has sent this message. He says, Randy has actually shown that he's an academician. He's very smart, and I like him so much. Randy should be on the EXCO, on the next EXCO period. Okay. So let's also get into other areas. The candidates, the presidential candidates, you have a choice? Have a choice.
I've made. I probably was the first person who made his preference known. And interestingly, all the candidates are my friends. We have very good relations. But everybody knows that my preference is Fred Papo. Yeah.
I see. So I'm sure that ahead of knowing this, I mean, approaches were made to you to come on board and support others, support others in their respective campaigns.
Oh yeah, but we speak. You see, I speak with almost all of them. We speak on a daily basis. Like I said, it's a contest. Like I said, my initial preference would have been that we all rallied behind one candidate,
which is Fred Papo,
and made sure that everybody else got onto the council. But of course, people had other ideas and all that. So we speak, we share ideas. There are times that maybe I listen to some of them speak and I'm happy or unhappy about one or two things, or I need some clarity, and I call, or they call me and we speak about it. So it's fine, it's cordial. At the end of the day, on the 25th, the delegates will make a decision. When I'm fortunate to be elected onto the Executive Council, obviously we'll be working with 11 other people, including whoever we've elected as president.
Randy.
And that person could be Fred Papo or could be any of the other 6.
But of course, I'm sure that over the years you have done assessments of the chances of your candidate. Is he looking good?
He's looking good. He loves to do things on the quiet. He has his way. Everybody knows it. He has his way. He's not the flamboyant type, and I don't know if because his background as a planner, and also because of his work in the diplomatic community for almost 2 decades. And so he goes about things quite differently. And so sometimes you need to get closer to him to actually know what he's doing. But I know that he's working very hard. He probably started quite late, and I know he started late because he was then focused on trying to get his consensus thing working. So whilst others had stepped out and they were working, he was trying to see if we could reach a certain consensus. And so he's probably started quite late. I think that he was maybe the last person to hit the ground in terms of direct campaigning and all that. But within that short period, he's covered a lot of ground, and he's busily working. He's working his heart off, and I'm hoping that it will pay off.
Have you, have you had people tell you about the potential of your becoming a vice president to whoever runs? I have said that personally to you as a big brother and as a friend.
This is an agenda led by you.
Yeah. Well, but I'm asking a simple question.
Own up to it.
No, I've owned up already. I'm because look, Randy, let's face it. I mean, we all have conversations. You have your conversations. I have my conversations. First of all, with my colleagues, with our friends in the corporate world, with associates, with people outside of this circle, people who may not even necessarily have any interest in football, and your name keeps coming up. What is your side of it? Have you had people tell you that, and what's the position on it?
I mean, just this morning I was chatting with one of my friends who's also one of the leading contenders in this. The issue even came up.
Okay.
So it's an issue that keeps coming up every day. But my answer to this is that, yes, if you look at the law, it is the 11 people who will be elected, with the exception of the president, the other 11 who will be elected. I mean, all the 11 will be eligible to contest for the position of vice president. The vice president will be elected by the 12 people on the board. That's the 11 council members and the president. They would elect the vice president. So every person elected onto the executive council is a potential vice president. As we speak now, my focus is on getting the 48 delegates, the Division 1 delegates, to have faith and confidence in me and elect me as one of the 3 to represent Division 1 on the Executive Council. That's my focus. That's what I'm worried about. That is what I am working on. That is what I am focused on. And I would not be distracted by anything with respect to this issue of vice presidency. My focus is on getting elected onto the Executive Council. I am touching base with the electorate, those who are going to take the decision. I am speaking to them. I'm not taking chances. I'm not being complacent. I am not holding the view that, well, you are the Randy Abe, everybody knows you. No. I'm touching base with them. I'm speaking with them. I'm letting them know why this is an important period in our lives as football administrators, why we must get it right this time, why we must make sure that we elect the right people, because elections have consequences, and the decisions we take on the 24th and the 25th of this month will have not just a 4-year effect, but because this will be the stage for the building blocks, for the future of Ghana football, and we need to get it right. That is what I'm focused on. I won't be distracted by issues of a vice presidency. Not at all.
If you just joined us, you've missed a lot of the discussion, but there's a live stream on Facebook now, so you could join it and you could watch anytime on our wall is Joy 997 FM. And of course, you can keep sending in your messages 0244 340437. We've touched on a range of issues. We're going to do some more as we build up to the top of the hour, 2 p.m. when we'll wrap up the show here on the Joysports link. Now, Randy, of course, there's another one that confronts a big case that confronts the election and whether or not it will even come off in the first place, and that is Wilfred Osekweku's appeal that he's sent to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Okay, your thoughts on how the case has built up. I beg your pardon. Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate situation. I would have wished that it didn't happen. It is not to suggest that if that wrongdoing should be condoned. But as we speak today, the information put out by the Normalization Committee is so scanty that you are even unable to analyze. I'm talking about what has been put out in the public domain. So you are even unable to analyze what exactly the charges or petitions were about, what the defense of Osei Palmer was, how the committee reached its conclusions. It is only when you have that you can really say that, first of all, the petitions or the issues against him were meritorious, whether his defense spoke to the issues or not, and therefore whether the conclusions reached are things that are in conformity with the FA's regulations or not. I hope you get what I'm saying. In the absence of all of this, we then get into the realm of speculation on what happened, what didn't happen, what were the issue about, what was his response, what wasn't his response. And I thought that the FA should have been a bit more detailed in terms of the information that we're putting out. Now, you see, for anybody, I've known Palmer for over 10 years. As one of the most hardworking people you can find. We're all not perfect. He's somebody I get on very well with. I mean, he's a great guy and all that. And I know how much he had put himself into this particular election. It's something that he had started working on for quite a long time. He had invested his time, his emotions, his intellect, his finances into this particular thing. So to be hit with what was hit with at the time that it happened, something that is really, really hard to take. Now, to the extent that he remains a football administrator, and for that matter, the owner of a club, being disqualified on the basis of you not having the required integrity to lead the FA is a very, very serious blot, an indictment on his reputation and his future as a football administrator in the Republic of Ghana. And so I agree with every step that he believes he has to take, every step that is in conformity with the law, to find some, or to clear his name, or to find some respite as far as this particular issue is concerned. Because you and I will not want to live the rest of our lives with this particular thing hanging, this tag hanging on us. Because people are probably just looking at this election. But you must look beyond this election Is he going to lead the rest of his life as a football administrator with a tag of not having the requisite integrity to lead the association on his neck for the rest of his life? So I think that is an issue that we need to be less emotive about and to maybe put ourselves in a man's shoes. You get what I'm saying? In as much as we don't want any interference with this election, we want the election to come off. There is the bigger business of bringing Ghana football on track and all that. The lawyers say something. They say that it's better to free 99 guilty persons than to incarcerate one innocent man. And so, let him use due process to fight his case, to clear his name. If he's successful, we'll all be happy. There is also something that they say litigation must come to an end at a certain point in time.
Exactly.
And so, whichever way he would know his fate, he shouldn't be denied the opportunity to use due process to clear his name. At the end of the day, when there's an end to litigation, he will have to resign to whatever fate brings him.
We've had comments made by the aspirants as well. I mean, they've granted loads and loads of interviews in our space in the last few months. And for instance, I mean, I had a chat with you about it off air. The bit where George Efrie spoke about, how relatively inexperienced Keto Kriku was, and that, he's a novice, I mean, in quotes. And he was on our platform, our tree platform, Asempa FM. He made those comments there and said, look, we've been here for a long time. This is a Daben Obaye, especially. We're going to get that sound to play. I'll get my producer to play that sound by. So this is where the competition has gotten us to. Now candidates are taking subtle jabs and hard jabs at each other.
Well, I was speaking with George on this particular issue, and he also referred me to an interview granted by Kurt. He even sent me that interview where Kurt made some comments against him which were also derogatory.
Okay.
And for him, it was a reaction to what had been said earlier. All I can say is that at this stage, we all require a higher level of emotional intelligence. I know what it takes to get into a competition of this nature. The time people are investing into it, the energies, the finances and all that. And so there is the likelihood of people slipping into making some of these comments. I've always said that the best way of dealing with what you think are the inadequacies or incompetencies of your opponent is to tout your capabilities and your competence. That's the best way. Because the more you tout yours, the more you tell whoever you are speaking to that I believe that when it comes to this and that, I'm a much more better person. I think that we need to be a little bit more restrained in how we go about things. And as we hit the home stretch, because the election is only about 4 or 5 days away, as we hit the home stretch, not just the candidates, but the people who follow them, their supporters and others, must exercise a lot of restraint, because after Friday, we will need everybody on board to be able to prosecute the agenda of bringing Ghana football back to its glory days and even much better. And we need to ensure that we conduct ourselves in ways that will not create rifts and will not create strifes that we would have to spend time trying to resolve when the elections are over. Because the bigger task is ahead of us. After Friday, we all need to roll up our sleeves and get to working very, very hard. And we cannot be distracted by some of these comments. So as people seeking to lead the FA, we must again display a higher level of emotional intelligence and be very circumspect in the kinds of things we say, especially about other people. I would have expected a situation where we were critiquing the ideas that have been put out by the others, critiquing them, comparing them to ours, rather than getting on the personality thing. Because this football thing will be driven by personalities, but it is the bigger brain, is the capacity, is the competence that we will need to deliver. You get what the point I'm making? Sure. So I'll just advise all of us, I mean myself inclusive, that let us exercise a lot of restraint, especially in this last week of campaigning, and be very circumspect in what we say, especially about other people. Let's focus on the message. Let's focus on what we are going to do to revive, restore, and rebrand Ghana football. For me, that is what the people want to know about. That is what the people want to hear, and not about our persons.
33 minutes past 1 p.m. And we are looking forward to activating the phone line in a bit so that you can also join us here. Remember, we're streaming live on the Facebook wall. And so let me share with you some of the messages. Now, this one is from Ralph Pepe. Ralph Pepe says, "Go, Randy. I have no doubt about Randy's competence, but I'm sad that he has channeled his passions and desires he had for Accra Hearts of Oak for Liverpool."
It's in the blood.
Okay. Meanwhile, your club too is coming, so we can't wait to see you help revive Ghana football. Thank you very much, Ralph Pepe, for that message. It's 0244 340 437. Good afternoon, Nat. This is Fred Amoa. Good to hear from you, Fred. Randy is striking all the right notes on accountability, appreciation of the importance of the role of stakeholders outside football people, and the integrity of the structures, as well as the legal framework that supports the system, etc. His take on branding and how it can affect the image in business and marketing of the GFA is insightful. I respect his decision to focus on the FA instead of the presidency in order to lend his experience to the overall development of the game, and this is commendable. I will be in touch. Good luck, he says. Thank you very much, Fred Amoa, for that message. It's 0244340437. Remember to prefix with +233 if you're outside of Ghana. So later we'll be activating the phone line so that you can join us. But keep the messages coming in, as we do all of this. So there are scenarios. There could be a scenario, for instance, that your candidate Fred Papo would win, and there could be a scenario where George Afriyie could also win. Any of these surprise you in any way?
Not at all. I mean, it's an election. Okay. I've stated what my preference is. We're also hearing stuff from the ground and all that. I would prefer that Fred wins. That's not in doubt. But if George were to emerge the winner, we will have to work together and work very hard to make sure that we get a job done. Yeah.
All right. So let's also look at our national teams, okay? The national teams, levels of achievement, what the state is like now. Now, everybody throws a lot of focus on the senior national football team, of course, which is the flagship brand of our football. Now, it's been a long while. I mean, for instance, the Africa Cup of Nations and winning it has always been a big headache. What then are you looking forward to, pushing regarding policy in where we want to see our national team in terms of its strength and its, potential to compete at the highest level and bring the highest possible laurels?
I think that we need to get back to the basics. We need to rethink developmental philosophy and strategy as far as football is concerned again. Be it with playing, being with the technical aspects of the game, being with sports medicine, nutrition and all that. We need to rethink it. You see, I was having a conversation with somebody and I said that I think that our national teams are structured based on competitions created by CAF and FIFA. So I'll give you a typical example. There was a time that we had an under-14 girls team because FIFA created something and we had to go and play in Switzerland. And so we collaborated with the GES and then we got the school kids and created an under-14 team. I think Otia Kenten was the one who coached them for that game. We went to Switzerland, they played the game, came back, and that was the end of it. So we created an under-14 girls team because FIFA wanted to play something like that. Do you get the point I'm making? But we do not appreciate the fact that, look, if we want to develop the game, then this is how we need to structure it and let it fit. You see, you have not done a solid foundation, but you're dreaming of a skyscraper. You're looking at the end. But it is the solidness of the foundation which will determine how well that skyscraper, is grounded. And so we need to get back to the basics, look at our developmental strategy and philosophy again. How do we want our game to be developed? Because you see, players don't just become Black Stars players. So how you develop the game, the issue about scouting, because there's also a phenomenon. Now you have, the reality is that you have your kids living here very early. The European clubs have seen that. So they are now taking the kids out very, very early, because for a lot of them, they think that, our players have the talent, the raw skill, but they do not have, how do you put it? They do not have a certain discipline, so they prefer to take them out early so that they can inculcate those things in them. So the guys are going out early. You either have a policy that regulates how they go out, or you have a policy that scouts them. And then for those that remain here, you need to have a top-notch developmental strategy on how you want to develop your players, and let it run across the clubs, let it run across how the national teams are structured. When it gets to issues of the Black Stars and winning and all that, there are things that will qualify as the ingredients, to winning. You need a group of top quality players. You need a group of players who are hungry for success. You need a group of players who are disciplined. You need a management that understands what should be done and how it should be done. You need a top-notch technical staff, people who know what they have to do and will do the right thing. And then you also need the funding, so corporate Ghana and then government as well. You need to have all this put together, to give you that edge to want to win. In the absence of this, you can always wish. And you see, it looks like it's gotten to a point where we've become one-dimensional. We're thinking in one particular way. And the way we think is finance. That too, once we throw, the players say they want 100,000. Once you give that, then they will deliver the cap. It has not worked. It's a principle that we used many, many years ago, and there was a reason. Because it got to a point where, Nat, if you remember, players had to buy their own tickets. We were defaulting in paying even per diem and bonuses of players and others. The national team had become unattractive. The late Alaji, he was a welfare officer of the Black Stars. His passed on. Alaji Mekano had to even be chasing players, begging them to come and wear the Black Stars jersey to play for the Black Stars. That is how unattractive it had become. So it got to a point where, to engender confidence and for them to believe, we even had to take the money to the dressing room for them to see that we are not lying. The money is here. Immediately you finish, you get your money. Send them the tickets there so that they know that they are not being asked to, buy their tickets, come, and now they have to spend time chasing their monies when they have to return back to their respective clubs and others. So there was a situation that warranted some of these strategies. But having moved on up until this point, we've seen that we've solved that problem. And so in looking for solutions to our current problems, we cannot continue doing those same things. That was to solve a particular problem. That problem has been solved. The problems that confront us today require different strategies in dealing with them. But we'll continue on that same thing and we expect to have different results. The results won't come. So we need to chill, we need to sit back, we need to re-look the thing. Look, the kind of money that we've pumped into the Black Stars the last 15 years, if you were to compute it, you won't believe it. Yet what have we gotten in return? We are not doing something right. And like they say, you cannot do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. We are not getting the results because we are doing the wrong thing.
Okay, so let me read these messages. Solid candidate, solid gentleman, and a solid brand. Randy Abe deserves the nod, and Fred Papo should be our next FA president. This is Gideon Hammond. Gideon Hammond, thank you very much for your message. Now, So we'll do some more. Keep sending the messages. I'll be glad to have them. In a bit, we'll also be activating the phone lines. Randy, let's talk about our league. There are those who have suggested that we, for instance, increase the number of teams that play in the top tier, and you're looking at all of these, knowing that FIFA's club licensing document is staring all of us in the face, and club licensing is requiring that we do things according to a certain standard regarding our infrastructure, the people who run our clubs, and many others. So where do we strike the balance, and are these things that we want to see going forward? Is it actually even something that will add anything at all if we increase the numbers of teams that play in the top tier?
Club licensing is critical. If we are able to achieve all that, it will help the game. It will help the game a great deal. What we've done is that we have not been that serious about it. When the ultimatum was given for us to deal with these issues, we looked at it, we realized that, look, implementing them at a go was going to be difficult. And so we needed to give ourselves some time on some of those things. So we gave ourselves, in some cases, 3 years, in some cases 2 years, in some cases 4 years. What we have not done is to fully implement and ensure that we are all complying with the timelines that we've set for ourselves. It is now a challenge for the new set of leadership of the FA to now sit down again and decide that, look, we need to get this right and put in place the right implementation plan for these things to be done. We need to do it because it will inure to the benefit of our game. We need to do it. We need to do it. And you see, when you look at our leagues, I tell people that from the point of view of the fans, football is entertainment. From the point of view of the investors, it is business. Now, for entertainment to thrive is a simple thing. If you take even the issue of scheduling of our games, when I hear people complain about and the EPL and La Liga and all that, almighty La Liga even dealt with scheduling. They decided at a point in time that they could not compete with the EPL. So that influenced the scheduling of their games so that they can get the eyeballs that they do require. Because like I said, for the fans, football is entertainment. So they are attracted to the stadium because of the assurance of a certain level of entertainment. If that assurance is not there, they won't go. They will not go. I mean, gone are the days when people didn't have other things to entertain themselves. So they would walk to the stadium willy-nilly. This time, they are sport for choice. And so you need to provide them something, compelling content, which will make them want to go to the stadium. You get the point I'm making? And so if, from the point of view of the fans, it is entertainment, and you are going to play your matches at 3 p.m., let me give you a key example. Tomorrow, Liverpool and Man U are playing at 3:30 p.m. Will it make sense for you to schedule your Premier League games at 3 p.m. tomorrow? It will make sense. So why must we continue that from Mansa Musa's days? We've been playing ball at 3 p.m. on Sunday, so we should continue the same way even in 2019, even in the face of such competition and compelling content from your competitors. You have to rethink it. And even in England, there are times that they play games at 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. They do so. And so we need to rethink some of these things, as part of the strategy to get things back on board and all that. We can't continue doing things the same old ways. Things have changed a lot, and we need to change how we go about things in this country.
Okay, let me read this one. I think it's key. Now, this person called Nikweku has sent this message. Can we trust Randy Abbey? He once gave us the impression that he was on a certain side of the political divide. As soon as a friend of his became president of the country, he immediately turned coat and disregarding all the ideological beliefs he had before. Can we trust him to be steadfast enough to hold any public position devoid of any personal interest? Okay, so before you go ahead, now, when you're sending such messages, Nikweku, be very clear. He was on a certain side of the political divide. There's a CPP, MPP, NDC. You say it so that we're clear and we, I'm reading this message also for a specific reason. I wouldn't have even read it in the first place, Nikweku. So next time, please be very specific. Once you're specific, we don't have a problem addressing them here. Randy?
Well, he once gave us the impression. So he had a certain impression. I can't help him with that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't help.
Let's talk about Awule in Spintex. He says, please tell Randy Abbey he's already on that council and also the vice president of our FA in the making. Okay, so Seneca Awule from Spintex. Okay, Randy. So I told you earlier that it's not my. This is not my agenda. You see the evidence here.
You know, at primary school, they told us this: don't count your chickens before they are.
All right. There's another message here. It's from Ni Ama in Koligono. He says, Fred Papo has exhibited maturity, competence, and a high level of integrity. The corporate world will be comfortable working with such a character. Let's not miss this opportunity. Okay. Thank you very much, Ni Ama in Koligono. Keep the messages coming in. It's 0244 340 437. Now, let's get on the phone lines. Take a few phone calls and, start wrapping it up here. I mean, obviously, when it comes to football discussions, there's so much to look at, within the space. Okay, so we've spoken about the league. There's also a bit about player welfare, and of course, obviously, all of this is tied into funding. What kind of player welfare regime would you want to see and push for, in the new look FA? With what kind of strategy backing it?
Player welfare at the club level or national team level?
At the club level. Sorry, we're talking about the league, so it's linked to the league.
Well, there has to be a base, a minimum, below which nobody must be paid.
Let's hold it there. Let me quickly announce the phone lines. It's 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541. And of course, in terms of updates from the Spanish La Liga, the full-time result from the Eibar Barcelona game is Eibar 0, Barcelona 3. Antoine Griezmann, Lionel Messi, and Luis Suarez scoring those goals. So once again, 0302 216 541. Randy, back to your point.
Yes, I'm saying that card is a minimum below which no player must be paid.
Exactly. I heard George Free, for instance, suggest that he wants to have a league where no player will be paid a minimum, no player will be paid less than $1,000 a month.
Okay, I didn't hear him. That would be.
We've played that interview here on our platform. Yeah,
but
sure.
When it comes to, so I'm saying that you set a minimum standard. But when it comes to how much teams pay their players, I mean, all over the world, all teams don't pay players the same salaries. What determines how much players earn varies. I mean, the capacity of the club, who the player is, where the player is coming from, and all those things. But so what you can do as an association is to set a minimum standard. That, look, we don't want anybody paid below this. Okay. And then you leave the rest for the teams.
Okay, let's get on the phone line now. We're speaking to Alex Medina. He's our first caller. Alex, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for also hearing me. I do admire and cherish Randy Abbey very well. But I think for he coming out for a particular person and also vying for the executive position, for me, I think it's not on point. Why do I say that? I thought he has a lot of qualities that he all along has been using, and to do such a thing looks as if he's stabbing a fear or the other people on the back. To also come with it, what exactly? That is what I thought. I thought he was coming out exactly with the qualities, technical abilities, opportunities, changes that the new person is supposed to bring. But to tell us what he thought is right and what he thought is wrong and what he thought is beyond the point. Because he's not the person coming as a GFA president. I will appreciate that he will sell the idea. And I think he has also sold the idea to whoever he's supporting. That person should come forward. Because he's selecting somebody, it doesn't only take only the individual's personality or his technical ability. It also takes about experience. When I talk about personality, I'm talking about the individual psychological.
Alex.
Yes, boss. Yes, I'm here.
Did you listen to the show from the beginning?
Yes, I listened from the show.
Okay, so if you listen to the show, then he made all of these points about Fred Papo especially. He spoke about various, various qualities that he has regarding the game or related to the game and what makes him better and the reason why he has decided to throw his weight behind him. So I think we need to get it clear here.
By the end of the day, you also come in with other differences of which he thought should shaping the game, of which makes his executive a point that he should also come out. That is why he was also making a point that he is also vying for executive, so this is what he also bring on board. Obviously, we could have also shared that all those ideas as well to whoever he's talking about, of which to shaping the whole. But for me, I think you should have shelved coming on as executive. I thought it's like you're coming out as a president.
Thank you very much, Alex from Medina. Randy, any response to that?
I don't know if Alex was suggesting that I shouldn't have answered the question you asked me. You asked me a specific question, I provided an answer to it, and I didn't think it was a question that I should skip. And in any case, I mean, you can call all the candidates. Everybody knows who my preference is. But like I've said, it is the 116 delegates who will take the decision. Whoever is elected as president of the FA, we will work with, and we'll have to work hard to get our game back. I can work with every one of them who's contesting to be president. They know that, and we have that relationship.
Now, Fred Papo is the best man for the job. He knows everything about the game, and I urge all delegates to vote for Nilaye Adom. Thank you very much for that message. Let's get back on the phone line and speak to our next caller, Osei, who's reaching us from Dansoman. Osei, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I've heard Pandiabi all this time from the beginning. But ask him, at what stage did he advise the previous executive? And after he had advised them, what was the result? I want to know.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Randy.
All right. The result was that at a point in time, I realized that my views were not needed, and I opted out.
Thank you. This is from Michael in Second D. I've been listening to you on Radio Max from the onset of the program. Please tell Randy that I listen to him almost all the time, always calm and intelligent. Please tell him to keep it up. And I'm one of his numerous admirers. Thank you very much, Michael in Second D. And of course, aside streaming online and reaching all the global audience, we're live in the Western region via Radio Max, especially via Second D Takrade. Okay, Fred Papo is the best among all the candidates. Please send your name as well when you send in the messages. Time enough for one more call, and then we can wrap it up here. Randy, there's been a lot of talk about women's football and how we've not thrown any good focus on it. Yes, even men's football, which gets the resources, is lacking in many areas. But your thoughts on women's football and how we can take it forward?
Well, like I said, we need to read our developmental philosophy and strategy again, and it goes for both male and female football. We need to sit down. We need to bring ideas on board. We need to restructure how we're developing that side of the game. And when we talk about women's football, not just about the players, but about coaching, about sports medicine, nutrition, and all that. I think that we have a lot to do in that regard. Yeah.
Our infrastructure, when you look across board, I mean, you've traveled across the country. What do you make of our infrastructure?
Well, I think it's poor. But it's not a hopeless situation. I think that we can do a lot more. I mean, the latest phenomenon with artificial pitches, easy to construct and all that is on. I mean, if you look at the fantastic work that Wembley Sports Complex Company Limited is doing with these artificial pitches, we can. I understand that they also can do natural pitches. I think that when it comes to infrastructure, I mean, the government and the local authorities, should partner with the FA and try and improve on the infrastructure. I realize that the Ministry of Youth and Sports is building these resource centers that have facilities as well. We also need to look at the refurbishment and maintenance of some of the existing facilities. For a lot of the facilities, there's a terrible maintenance culture that has led us to to that particular situation. And so if we do not deal with it, we'll build new ones, and they will end up just like the old ones. I mean, look at the Esipon and Aliu Mahama Stadium and all that. Look at even Accra Stadium and Kumasi as well. So there's a lot we need to do. But, with the financial outlay when it comes to infrastructural development, you need government, corporate Ghana, to partner with the FA to look at dealing with issues of infrastructure. We need a lot more playing surfaces and fields in this country.
Thank you very much. Let's do a few messages before we wrap it up here. Now, this one says, let's get Randy Alaji Grusa and one Mr. Ado on board as executive committee members together with executive council members together with Fred Papua as president, and we shall go far. This is from Ebenezer Edwin Adom. Thank you very much, Ebenezer Edwin Adom. Ni Randy is proving that he's matured regarding the elections. Fred Papo is the best for me. Numobi Ajay in La. There's another one here that says Randy is already on the executive council, like how it went through yesterday. This is from IEC in Achimota. And then he adds Akraka Blow. Okay, Randy, we're wrapping it up, and final comments before we get out of the studio.
Well, thanks for the opportunity again of being here. This is a priceless platform, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I would once again reiterate the point to all of us who are voting in these elections that elections have consequences. The decisions that we take on Thursday will go a long way in determining how we're serious about doing things right and getting things right. I will plead and urge the 48 delegates voting in the Division 1 League to vote for me as one of the three that they would want to represent Division 1 on the executive council, because they know the competencies that I have, my capabilities, the integrity and all that I bring to board. And so I urge them to vote for me as one of their three. Interestingly, I'm number one on the ballot. Yes, I am number one on the ballot. So vote number one on the ballot on Thursday and get Randy Abe elected onto the executive council. And God shall richly bless you.
Thank you very much, Randy Abe. Talk about number one on the ballot. It reminds me of a personal accolade that we have. Say Davi 1. Good afternoon to you, Davi 1. Randy, thank you very much once again. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. Everton has secured a 2-0 win over West Ham full-time. And remember, you'd have to join us here on this platform. We're bringing you that game between Manchester United and Liverpool right here in partnership with the BBC. Apologies to all those whose messages we couldn't read. But remember that coming up later on will be Showbiz A to Z with my girl and your girl Na Ashoko. Let me just go ahead and wish one more time Mrs. Grace Intifro, Ma Grace, happy 70th birthday. And of course, Mr. Martin Osei-Brobe, who is the CEO of Lexter Ghana, my big brother. Happy birthday to you once again. So, Mrs. Grace Intifro and Mr. Martin Osei-Brobe, happy blessed birthday to you. Mrs. Grace Intifro, you're 70. God bless you. We all love you. Thanks to the whole team. You keep it here on your super dial. There's more coming, a big dose of entertainment between now and 6 p.m. You can't miss any of it. That's the reason why you have to be here. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.